Do you guys remember the movie The Great Escape that was originally released in 1963, a film that depicts a heavily fictionalized version of the mass escape by British Commonwealth prisoners of war from German POW camp Stalag Luft III in World War II? The film made numerous compromises for its commercial appeal, including its portrayal of American involvement in the escape. The film is based on true events that happened during the Second World War. To this day, it's still one of my favorite World War II prison escape films of all time. Steve McQueen, one of the greatest actors of all time. And what if I said that in 2003, Pivotal Games, the same creators of the Conflict series, created a video game that is based on the film? The Great Escape is an action-adventure stealth game that was released on Xbox, Microsoft Windows, and PlayStation 2. The game opens up with the player in a plane in the middle of a dogfight. After the plane takes damage, the player has to put out the fires in the plane with a fire extinguisher and then take control of the turret. After shooting down multiple planes, your plane sustains too much damage and you have to grab the parachute and jump off. After this, you are captured by the German soldiers. After being captured, MacDonald, the character you play as, is held in a prison camp. He is tasked with finding multiple items around the camp that will aid the others in escaping. These include grabbing the German documents to be able to ink a forged passport, grab logs to continue building the tunnel, and bringing a shovel for the same reason. After completing all of your tasks, you may now use the tunnel to escape, but unfortunately that escape is short-lived as MacDonald is found immediately after. The first few levels of the game are framed as Ramsey recounting the previous exploits of the prominent prisoners in the camp to RAF squadron leader Bartlett. The beginning are mostly levels depicting how each character eventually ended up in Stalag Luft 3. Due to his attempt to escape from the prison camp, MacDonald has now been transported to the castle. After receiving help from a fellow prisoner, he now has access to freely explore the castle. In order to escape the castle, MacDonald will have to find the German guard uniform to disguise himself and find a way to get to the telephone wire and grapple down. He will also have to turn off the castle's generator so that he can find his way to the top of the castle, as even with the disguise, it is restricted to be there. Completing his escape, the guards find him and begin shooting, but he gets away. Now, this next mission I have a few issues with that I'd like to discuss beforehand. This is the final step in MacDonald's plan to escape. Unfortunately, it's a level where you first have to use a gun and shoot your way out. Now, that would have been completely fine if the shooting wasn't completely janky. You can't aim and shoot, so you just become a vulnerable target for the enemy. Running and gunning also doesn't feel the best, so I honestly just prefer to run as fast as possible to the end. Next up, we have a level where we take control of a different character. This time, we take the role of Cedric, who is on his way to find the crashed bomber plane to destroy the codebook before the Germans can retrieve it. To do this, Cedric must traverse through an area that is heavily guarded by repairing and stealing a half-track nearby. Pushing through the guards, Cedric makes it to the site where the plane has crashed, where he is able to burn the codebook. He is then arrested and transported to Stalag Luft 3. In the next mission, we finally get to use Steve McQueen as he attempts to make an escape from another prison camp. In this instance, a tunnel has already been built and Hiltz needs to go and grab several objects around the camp, including ink and paper, German army stamp, and a map of the trunk depot. All of these items are later on used to create a fake German pass and used to get a layout of the depot. After reaching the tunnel point, Hiltz finds the person digging the tunnel who gets stuck after a cave-in happens. Quickly, Hiltz has to grab a trowel from a fellow prisoner and get him out, completing the escape. Hiltz is now found in the middle of the forest where he has to make his way past guards and make his way into the German truck depot to make his escape. To make this easier for himself, Hiltz steals a uniform from a hut after the forest, which makes it easier to enter the depot and sneak in. Once inside the depot, Hiltz has to steal the transfer orders from the main office. Hiltz has to make sure he is not seen inside the depot, as he is not permitted to be there, even with the uniform. He then has to make his way down and grab the truck keys and get the truck to get out. In this mission, we switch back to MacDonald, who has now been transferred to Stalag Luft 3. After being briefed by the escape committee, MacDonald is tasked to collect the German uniform hidden under the hut and sneak into the guards' quarters to once again collect papers. There is a pocket knife hidden under one of the huts that you need to grab. Now that sounds easy, but for some reason 3 out of 4 times you randomly spotted, which makes 0 sense. Anyway, with the pocket knife, you can cut out the telephone wire, which will be needed for later. Next, MacDonald has to grab an unstamped pass and then get it stamped at the Commandant's hut. A surprise roll call is made, so MacDonald has to make his way there before the time runs out. After the roll call, while in the uniform, you'll have to escort the escape committee to the checkpoint so that they can make their escape, which feels tedious and slow, especially in the speedrun. A train timetable is then needed so that MacDonald can plan everything. We now switch back to Hiltz, where now he will have to do some recon, just like he was sent out to do in the film. He first goes to find the wire cutters that are hidden in the hiding spot created by another prisoner. The goons are coming is then shouted down the corridor, and Hiltz quickly has to cover them up as the guards are going to search the place. When they leave, Hiltz grabs the wire cutters and cuts his way through the blind spot in the fence and makes a run for it. The guards going on alert is a scripted event that happens every time, meaning that you have to run through the seemingly endless forest while being chased. It's finally time. We have finally reached the actual The Great Escape level, where events from the movie are put into video game form. Of course, they don't look as visually appealing as they do in the movie, but then again, this game was made in 2003. Cedric is instructed to get 30 feet of rope, just like in the movie. Another prisoner can create a distraction while Cedric makes his way into the compound to grab the rope. The way back, however, isn't so easy as now the searchlight is looking directly at the gate. To disable it, a wrench is needed to take out the generator so that you can make your way back. After giving the rope, you can go through the tunnels just like the movie, but when you make it to the end, you switch over to Hiltz, where he has to alert the rest of the escaping prisoners to when it's safe to leave. Last Train Home is probably the worst mission in the entire game. It counts as an escort mission where Hendley has to help Blythe get to the end of the train as he can barely see anything. Now, in the film, they jump off the back end of the train, but in the game, that door is locked, so you have to get the key at the very front of the train. Usually, what I will do is leave Blythe in the toilet in the lost carriage so that the Gestapo and officers will not find him. Then I'll use Hendley and run to the front of the train, past every guard, and grab the keys. Now, the way back is the most painful thing I've ever had to do, and might I just add that any game that has infinite spawning enemies should simply not exist. The way back, whether you do it stealthily or not, you'll have to fight your way back through guards that are infinitely spawning. Now, with the janky shooting physics that I spoke about earlier, it really doesn't make it easy, but damn does it feel rewarding once you make it to the end. Now we take a look at Bartlett and MacDonald as they make their way through the railways. MacDonald is instructed to meet up with the contact that was placed for them at the very end of the train station. As you could have guessed, you have to stealth your way around the guards that are guarding the railways. MacDonald needs to grab the key from a shed and they quickly make their way to the civilian area. Once there, he uses money to grab a ticket and move forward. As he is showing his pass and ticket, unfortunately MacDonald is recognized by the Gestapo and has to run till he finds the contact he was looking for. This time, however, I was able to just run all the way through. Now, before I continue with this part, I'd like to say that the endings for the characters in the game are a lot different than in the movie. In the game, it shows what would have happened if the escapes went according to plan. Now, we take a look at things from Henley and Blythe's perspectives as they prepare to steal a plane. Now, as usual, a lot of items will be required. First, Henley hides Blythe behind some boxes at the beginning so that he is not caught. Then, Henley has to find a plane that is airworthy and get it ready. To do this, Handley needs to find a worker's uniform that is stashed nearby, which will allow him to traverse through multiple areas with ease. Once done, Handley can now go about collecting the starter crank, technician's ID card, valve handle, and truck keys. Now, the truck keys, the first time I played this game, took me a while to find as I didn't know they were on the guard and you have to knock him out. After everything has been gathered in a preferred stealthy way, you can now use the truck to go pick up Blythe and take him back to the plane where you can now kickstart it together. Just like in the film, MacDonald slips up and accidentally responds to the Gestapo officer in English, causing him and Bartlett to be wanted and chased around town. Yes, the whole of the next level, On the Run, is quite literally just MacDonald running through the town while avoiding the German guards. Now, I'm not going to lie, the first time I tried to pass this mission, I got completely lost as some parts of this town feel like an actual labyrinth. For a final time, we switch back to Cedric, who has been recruited by the French Revolution, who asks him for help. In return, they'll take him to Spain, where he will be safe. Cedric has to sneak past some guards situated in the forest nearby and meet up with Antoine, who will give Cedric into gathering the parts that they need to create a detonator to stop a German convoy. On the bridge, there is a train that has the components needed, and the other side, there is another train that is used to get away. Now, this next mission is a lot more complicated than the one that Cedric has just gone through. Cedric first starts off by helping the French resistance, who were cornered by a German soldier. Next to them, however, is a weapon that you are able to pick up, which usually means only one thing. Yep, it is going to be another shooting mission. This time, Cedric is instructed to clear out the area of guards that are spotted in the area. After doing so, he will then have to plant the explosives and detonate them before the truck passes by so that you can stop the convoy. Cedric will have to fight his way through hordes of enemies to get the dossier and run away. We are now nearing the very end of the game. The very end of the game is none other than the most iconic scene of the movie where Hilt steals a motorbike from one of the soldiers and attempts to escape to Switzerland. This is the same case in the game as you have to grab the chicken wire and knock off the German guard from his bike. The bike physics are so janky, but I find it really creative how they designed an entire map just for Hills to ride on his bike. The last mission is the exact same with Hills attempting to escape, but the only difference is that at the end you have to jump over the fence to reach the border of Switzerland, and with that being said, you have officially completed the Great Escape.